So I have to, oh, hey everyone. So I have to ask, in which one of these hands is something? There is something in one of my hands, and I want you to pick which one it is. I'm gonna get into some updates for Koos Key and really talk about the channel and what to really look forward to. But I want to ask, which hand did you pick? Did you pick this hand or this hand? Which one has something in it? What if you pick this hand? Well, your answer is correct. And how do you feel? Did you feel that that validation was something that changed your mindset? How did you feel before? And then you, on the other hand, what if you were right as well? So realistically, no matter which hand you picked, you were right. But for that brief moment between the time that I said that there's something in my hand and the time that you decided to I'm sorry, from the time that I said there was something in my hand, and the time that you assumed that there was nothing in my hand. It's so loud over here. Sorry, there's a plane flying by. Let's start that over again. So, if you thought that you got it wrong, a part of you got really sad and upset, and that's honestly normal. But realistically, that mindset change. I mean, you, for whatever you were feeling from the time that you came on, you would have either gone through and said, man, I chose something wrong, and kept beating yourself up, or you would have been like, man, I got it right. I'm going to go. Life's great. And there's something great about that as well. And so that's really kind of what I've really talked about in some of my previous videos. And it's about mindset change. And anyone, I'm Saul Matthew of Koos Key. It's been a long time since I've done one of these videos. I just really wanted to check in and kind of provide some guidance of what to expect for the future. Realistically, as I look forward to going back to corporate America and going back to work, my focus for this channel is still going to be honest and true. It's really going to be about you, and it's going to be about our mindset and really building on it. I had a lot of these weird situations from the time I thought about maybe starting this channel to the time that we're at right now, and there was these weird coincidences that I chose to believe, you know what? That coincidence or that situation is the reason that I'm going to start. It's going to keep giving me the faith to keep going on. So as you chose which coin, it was, if you chose correctly and you thought it was this hand, you would have been like, hey, this is great. I'm going to keep doing something, and I'm going to push myself and do something else. And that's really what a lot of I've done in Koos Key is there's just been a lot of situations where I assumed that, I'm going to start, and something just validated me that, hey, I'm going to keep going. This worked. This didn't work. And what it allowed me to do was really focus on a part of my personalities, part of my personas. And, that's something I really wanted to, I'm going to build some future content on. And that's something I want to really kind of talk about before I jump into what we're going to do in the rest of 2024 and realistically, what we're going to focus on, for you all, and how I'm going to really work on our mindsets and our focuses. And, I watched this, I did this 3-day seminar that Tony Robbins did, and he talked about how he was working with Conor McGregor. And in that experience, in that time, he talked about the warrior, and he talked about changing his mindset, and he really worked on, helping him getting into a place of his psyche, a place of his inner wounds, and or his inner personalities. And something I've talked about in some of my previous videos about mindset or about, self-efficacy and starting, it's really about what you believe in, what you put faith into. But ultimately, what I realize is when you have trapped pain, you're so focused on, maybe only one part of your personality and your persona. And, hearing Tony say that and just talking about, and I think he rattled off maybe like 5 or 6. And, in Greek mythology, they've talked about a lot of this stuff. Sigmund Freud talks about it. who's Carl Jung, he has a lot of content on it. But realistically, that's the next focus of what we're going to work on. Is I really talked about, believing and having faith, because a part of me, when I did some of the content, I wanted to relate with you all and talk about how common pain and not believing can limit us. And what I really want to now focus on is, once you believe and you have started working on, like in yoga, they talk about, the power and the peace. You're working on two different parts of your being. I really focus more on the peaceful warrior and finding the inner peace and knowing that you can find security and strength. But now, the future content, we're going to more work on our power and work on having confidence and really being more intentional. Because I think once you're figuring out who you are and you're learning how to maybe redefine who you are, you're going through a spiritual or some sort of an awakening or just realization that it's time to let something go and move towards something forward. There is almost like a grieving period. There's almost like a death that you face with your ego and yourself. And so what happens is, when that happens, it kind of really confuses you, and you're always just trying to figure out, who am I? So you're deleting and getting rid of old patterns and old behaviors, and you're learning new things, and you're constantly in this stage of change. And that's why, people talk about, they feel like an imposter or an imposter syndrome. And, people talk about fake it till you make it. But realistically, what that really is, or a better example of it is, it's really more of, you're unsure in who you are and the persona. It's like when you're driving a car and, back in the day, we used to have manual transmissions. Sometimes we would get stuck between second and third, or between two gears. And that's kind of what I feel like those type feelings are. And so as I really work on new content, it's really going to be about helping you all on the other side understand maybe which part of your personality, which part of your mindset are you so focused on. Because once you work on one, you'll realize that there's other parts of you. You're many parts of a collective that makes you whole. And ultimately, as you work on one, you'll realize, hey, there's this part that I found more about myself, or who I am. And you're going to want to work on maybe the magician. You're going to work on the inner child. You're going to work on the warrior. And depending on which philosophy or which type of history you go to, they'll have a different word for it, in spirituality. And that's where I'll kind of create a lot more content. Maybe I'll create some more stories. Like one of the stories I'm going to do is about, it's a Jakata story. It's a Buddhist one. It talks about a man who was told by his mentor that he needed to kill 1,000 people, and because his mentor was jealous of him. And he went on this journey, and by the time he had 999 fingers around his neck and he was killing people, he met Buddha, and I'm not going to get into the story, but ultimately his perspective and everything has changed. And so what I'm really going to be talking about in the next upcoming content is, we're going to have a lot more stories. We're going to have a lot more examples. And I want to go into, Christianity. I want to go into Islam. I want to go into Hinduism. We're going to go into actually some real history and have more content that will be about, examples of change and possibilities, and how have people used, almost like Paulo Coelho, the guy who wrote The Alchemist. It just talks about taking pain and turning it into power. Ultimately, this is something that has been happening for millennia. But for us, what's really been going on and what's really been happening is sometimes, as we enter these new phases and we enter these new phases of life, what happens is we kind of get stuck in a personality. The old part of ourselves won't quite let go. The new part of us isn't quite ready to get out of the cocoon. And so it's all about kind of learning and embracing and working towards maybe something of purpose. So that way you don't have a what if. You don't have to keep doubts or worries, and you can really build something. And so for me with this channel, it's been, let me kind of give you a little bit more history. So I started this back in January of 2023. It was a little voice inside my head that said, "Hey, I want to do this. I want to." When I was born, the Buddhist monk who gave my name to my mom, gave a prophecy, and he said, "One day I'm going to change the world with a book." And for me, I was like, I don't understand. Like, I'm not quite ready to do that, but I know people's pain is universal, something that I went through. I wanted to share and help others to heal and know that they can believe and that they can change. But for me, I had to learn and embrace and create this whole new thing that I've never done before. Like, I was in business, I was in finance. And so for me, kind of creating this content, it was a lot of learning. It was learning how to connect with people, learning how to create videos and all this stuff. But ultimately, there's so many times I almost gave up. August of last year, I was like, hey, let me try this YouTube beta promotions thing and see how well it would do. And it did amazing. And I was still stuck in these personas. And even though I'm ready to go back to work and kind of make this truly the passion project, last year as I was healing, this wasn't a passion project as much as I wanted to call it that. It was more of an outlet. It was more of a validation. It was more of a healing where I get to pour my energy in. And I made it about you on the other side and the commonality of our pain. But ultimately, it was something that the results and the connections and the feedback kept making me believe, like, hey, there's something here. Let's keep sharing. And ultimately, the ad budget kind of grew. I put a little bit more into it. The channel grew, even though I never monetized it. I didn't quite give up. But then I took some time off, and I haven't really made content in about 3 months. And part of it was I needed to figure out me and why I was doing this. And I really wanted to kind of create some content that can show the mindset changes, show how growth can happen. And ultimately, that's what we're going to really work on and kind of create as we work on some videos on the weekends, and I really kind of maybe create some more collaborators. So if you're still watching this and you're curious and you want to get involved, please send a comment, maybe send me your email, and we can stay in touch and you can help build more content with me. But for me, I really want to make this about you, and the future content is about stories. We're going to talk about more of how what you're feeling is just a stuck gear. Give it some more time, maybe pivot, but don't give up. The how it happens, you might never quite know how you're going to get there, but the why and the what is what we really focus on in the past. And now it's just more helping you and working towards about believing that when you're in this, just not to give up and just to keep enduring, learning how to pivot, learning how to take the momentum that you built and how to gain that experience and to continue growing with it. So again, I'm Saul Matthew of Koos Key. I really appreciate you listening and joining this channel. There's so much content. The content that I have created, there's a bunch of different playlists. There's a lot of information out there that's all geared to helping people learn something, gain more confidence. Along with that, just know that the potential for them is vast. The more you believe in something, the more you pour that energy in, it's really going to allow you to become an unstoppable force, and you can achieve anything, but you just have to believe and have faith and just take action. So I hope you took action. I hope you chose the right one, or I hope you stayed and realized that, hey, my mindset can change at any time. Because you chose the wrong one, you may have believed that you couldn't, and you would have beaten yourself up, even though it was just a dumb thing you saw online. But ultimately, that's how life is. Someone gives you a dirty look, someone says something about you, or you assume they're saying something, and ultimately it gets in your head. And whatever you pour your mind into is what grows. So realistically, focus on positive growth, focus on positivity, focus on the fact that whatever is going on is only a cycle and things will get better. So I'm Saul Matthew of Koos Key. Thank you so much for watching, and look forward to creating more content. Check out some of the other stuff. Please send me some feedback, and I really appreciate you. Thank you. Ayub Owen, may you be blessed with a long life. And you know why I say that? One, besides the fact that it's from Sri Lanka, but two, to live a long life is it's almost a burden. You're going to miss out on everyone else who has left. You are still going to carry so much history, and it's a blessing to live that long. And ultimately, if you are blessed to be able to live that long, may it be great, and the more you can change your mindset, the more that you can believe and not carry so much negativity and doubt and worry. It's just more pressure you don't have to keep. So I hope you have a great day, and thank you so much. I'm Saul Matthew of Koos Key, and I believe in humanity. I believe in all of us, and I believe in you on the other side. Thank you so much.